Hey, what's going on, guys? Mangleson here, bringing you another Destiny 2 video and jumping right into the content. What I want to do is take this period of time to let you know what we're going to be going over in this video, and that is how to build a Hunter, Shatter Dive, Arc Strider, Night Stalker, Golden Gun. These are basic subclass abilities for the Hunter. We all know this. Well, unless you're a new player, which I'm going to go over in detail on how you want to kit out your Hunter. The thing that makes a Hunter, the thing that's important to a Hunter. Now I'll go ahead and spoil it for the majority of the group here, which is mobility. But that's not all that entails when it comes to building out your Hunter. So when you look at my character here on the screen, we're going to go over briefly into a little bit of the subclass details so you can get a better handling on what I'm trying to explain to you, whether it be Golden Gun, Shatter Dive, Arc Strider, whatever. I'm going to be equipping or have equipped the weapons that most of the people out there would have if you were watching this video. That's going to be the Season of the Lost weapons, unless you jumped in later, but I digress. So we have a good heavy grenade launcher, we have a shotgun for the kinetic slot, and then we have the auto rifle in the energy slot, right? The armor pieces, my armor pieces, primarily for this example, some of them are arc, some of them are possibly solar, some of them are possibly void, but I'm not using stasis armor in this explanation. That is a whole nother video for a whole nother time. But going over the key stats that we have here, the key stats for a Hunter, we're not going to be focusing too much on their melee or their grenade. We're going to be key focused on their mobility. My character here is starting off with a 53 mobility, a 65 in resilience, and a 53 in recovery. I wanted to say 63 because there's a 53 and a 53 on the screen. I wanted to say 63 so bad. But looking over the armor is kind of empty. For any veteran player looking at this, you'll see that the armor is kind of empty, not optimized. The stats look mediocre at best, and this is probably what most players stat allocations look like. They're pretty bare, they're pretty barren. They're just throwing on mods, not knowing what's going on, not understanding what they want to build into or what they can build into. So even looking at my Stompies, if we compare them side by side, the worst thing about these Stompies is the recovery on there, but the key thing that we're looking at there for a piece of armor, for this particular piece of armor, is going to be the mobility. As you see, when I change it back and forth, looking at the mobility stat, it doesn't change drastically. It changes from a 53 to a 59. Now, something else to take note of is, like, right off the bat, I'm not going into just equipping an exotic right off the bat, because I want to go over armor in general so you can understand that a lot better. Yes, an exotic is going to elevate your gameplay, but if you don't understand the base of your character, you're not going to understand what happens when an exotic gets put into play. And for these test runs, I chose this legendary lost sector here, the array on Nessus. So I'm going to go in here with my 53 mobility, and what we're going to be looking at is my dodge ability, the one that looks like a hood in the bottom left hand corner. And we're going to watch the hood, the dodge ability, speed back up. It's going to speed up, and I'm going to use it to manipulate my other abilities in here. Now, the dodge that I have equipped with my character is the Gambler's Dodge, possibly the thing that when you dodge near an enemy, you get your melee back, right? I'm not too sure which one that one is, but when you dodge near an enemy, you get your melee back. So with my melee coming back after I dodge, I know that if I'm close to an enemy, I dodge, I get my melee back. This is just a small little snippet of what we're going to talk about later in the video of why we're not focused too much on building into grenades or melees. But going back to the armor, the 53 mobility set here for the hunter has a 24-second cooldown as it is now. The further I go up, the smaller that cooldown gets, to a maximum of 11 seconds, and that's what we're shooting for. But how can we make our mobility increase? How can we increase our mobility further to get closer to the 100%? Because the armor that we have on isn't cutting it, so we would have to mod our armor in order to get further into the higher mobility stat. So that's going to take us to the general armor mod socket, and if you have the general mod for it, the mobility mod that costs 3 energy, that's going to put you at a plus 10 for your mobility. I had a 71 in my armor. Equipping that mod made it an 81, which put my mobility up by plus 10 by 1 tier. If it's anywhere in between there, any number that isn't a whole number here for any of the stat allocations, a 74 doesn't make anything better than a 70. A 79 doesn't make anything better than a 71. You want a whole number. It's got to round all the way up to that next tier. So we will continue to look over the armor and continue to mod our gear. So looking over the mods again, I see that my cloak still has room for improvement. I'm going to go to my cloak, go over to my general socket, and equip the mobility mod. Now I'm sitting at an 83 with a cooldown of 16 seconds now. So within 16 seconds, I will now get my dodge ability back, which in turn will give me my melee back when I dodge closer to enemies. And that is how those two things are synergizing together. I could sacrifice my resilience, but for a hunter, if you're going into decent activities, if you're not too good, 6 is where you want to be, 5 or 6. But if you are a pretty good hunter, you want to sit at about a 3. You want to sit at a 30 for your resilience. That will give you more room to allocate your armor better. But Powerful Friends here has a passive ability plus 20 mobility. But how do we get that activated? Powerful Friends states if you have an arc mod equipped in the Charge with Light mod socket, then that passive ability will become active, giving you that plus 20. And most hunters will have on 1 or 2 pieces of arc armor at a time, and they will have their Powerful Friends activated for that plus 20 mobility. That's 20 plus mobility out of thin air, and you can't beat that with a stick. But you don't always have to go to Radiant Light for your booster. In this case, I'm going to end up choosing the Swift Charge for the shotgun because I'm using a shotgun. And with the Swift Charge, shotgun kills give me a chance to get Charged with Light. So Radiant Light along with Powerful Friends is usually the go-to combo. That gives you the plus 20 in strength and the plus 20 in mobility. But we don't really want to kit out into strength too much because we're not needing it right now, but that's not what we're focused on. We're going to focus on the mobility stat. Now we're at 100. 103 to be exact, but anything over 100 doesn't account for anything. So recovery is fair. It's at a 5. We would like it at a 6 or a 7. But our strength is still down, our discipline is still down, our intellect is kind of high. Now, why you don't want to spec heavily all the way into max 10 intellect, because it's kind of pointless, because the diminishing returns on a high intellect isn't favorable for your character unless that's what you want to do. There's so many other ways to manipulate the super, the grenade, and the melee that we don't really need to kit out into it. Now, looking back over the armor, I can make some further adjustments here, but anything that I change, it will change my mobility stat. So if I had something that further manipulated my mobility to give me increased mobility or to give me more grenade energy or more strength, such as if I had a demolitionist gun, give me every time we get a kill with that, it give me grenade energy. Or if I had a weapon that essentially had masterwork on it, then it would give me more energy more super energy when I picked up those orbs. So The 100 mobility is what we want, and that's what a hunter strives for, is survivability and quick execution. Now, if we go into our armor, I'll tweak some more stuff in order to combine my mods to make the cooldown of my dodge come back quicker. And that's where you're going to want, in this example, I use the Cobra's hood. I use my cloak in order to make it void to do on the perpetuation that costs 2, not the 4, the 2. So when I use my dodge ability, I get dodge ability back. Now, if I had a stasis cloak and used the Kickstarter, that could inherently be better than the perpetuation as well. But for this example, I'm just sticking with the solar, the arc, and the void. Like I said, the stasis thing is a whole another video in its own right. But once I dodge, I will get some of my class ability back, so that will further diminish the 11 seconds to like 8 seconds, 9 seconds. Let's say 9 seconds. It doesn't do too much, but every 9 seconds I should be able to get my dodge back. Now, if I was using a weapon with Wellspring, that would further reduce the cooldown of my dodge ability. So this is where you want the outliers for synergy to come into play. Having your weapon, or having the correct dodge, right? The gambler's dodge is the one that I do have on for getting my melee back. The marksman dodge gives you back your ammo. But if you were to have Wellspring, slay out, you get your dodge back. If you continue to focus on using your dodge in a way that enhances your type of gameplay, is the way that you're going to build up to being a better hunter. Now, you don't have to crutch everything on your dodge, but the dodge is one of the more important things for a hunter. It's a powerful tool in their toolbox. And when I equip the hands-on mod in the helmet slot, now when I'm dodging, I'm getting my melee back. I use my melee, I get a hit, I get extra super energy per hit when I do a melee hit on an enemy, especially when I secure the kill. So I secure the kill, I get energy back. Combining this with a weapon that had thresh or something, that would also increase those gains. But I'm going to end up showing you, right? You saw in the beginning clip, you probably don't remember it by now, but I had already got my super fairly quickly while using a basic build. But once I equipped the hands-on in conjunction with having a quicker dodge recovery time, having my hands-on energy mod equipped into my helmet, which is exclusive to the helmets, to the hands-on and the grenade and all that stuff to get back super energy. Combine that with the shotgun that I have there that has trench barrel, I'm now forming a thing of synergy. And now that synergy, I can easily go into combat, use my melee, get trench barrel active, get a kill with trench barrel, use the Krishila Mellow, the auto rifle, and use Harmony. So now Harmony is buffing the synergy. It ends up going, and it comes all the way back to my dodge. When I now put on masterwork weapons, still keeping with an auto rifle, the salvager salvo, grenade launcher, most people probably have, and just some random exotic. It didn't have to be that grenade launcher, but any exotic or any power weapon would have done. But as long as they're masterwork, so now you're dropping orbs of light. There are more things that you can do with orbs of light with the charge with light system, but we're not going into that into this video. But once you understand that for a hunter, right, focused on hunter, that your mobility stat is everything, and you want to continue to feed that mobility stat and the best you can to get your dodge back quicker. Now, you've probably seen other videos out there that say, oh, hunters go into mobility or blah blah blah. There's an importance to having that dodge back so quickly. Having the dodge back either reloads your gun or gives you a melee back, right? So either you're always loaded with ammo for a gunfight, or you will always be able to throw a powered melee out. That's almost broken. No other class can get their one of their two abilities back like that. The Titan has to go behind the barricade and still do a reload animation. The Warlock has to go inside of a rift and they just get a little bit of a damage bump, or they get healing, while the Hunter is aggressive for the most part. And if you combine having a quicker cooldown with Invis, with Arc Strider, and you're constantly doing your dodge using bottom tree to you're harder to hit when you're dodging, it just makes for a more deadly Hunter. And I know you've seen the Hunters out there that shatter dive. They'll dodge, they'll throw their grenade, and you lose track of them. They're above your head, and then all of a sudden you're deleted. And this is the mindset of the Hunter. They've committed to that mobility, which increases sprint speed and jump height. So a Hunter will accelerate over top of you and you won't even know what happened, and then it's too late. You've already been shatter dove, or you've already been tricked out with their dodge, and they now have the advantage from coming from behind you, beside you, above you, or staring you directly in the face, and they closed a distance on you that you didn't know was there. When they do their dodge animation, when they leap forward or when they leap backwards or to the side, they break all aim assist. All natural aim assist that the game has for your character in order to secure the kill. When Hunters dodge, they get rid of that. And a Hunter that is manipulating the dodge in the right way, as I did with the Blade Barrage here, I dove backwards, and when you dive backwards and then use your Blade Barrage, it will then become an extended dodge with more focus towards spread out amongst the enemies. But that's a whole nother video for a whole nother time, going into how Blade Barrage actually doesn't suck. You can at me in the comments about that, but I like Blade Barrage, but not the melee of Blade Barrage. So I digress. Getting back to Hunter synergy and the mobility stat, when you combine the dodge with the Gambler's Dodge, getting my melee back, I have the Ophidia Spathon giving me 2 melee charges at this time. That is only there to, it's a weak exotic pairing for this, just to show the strength of having a high mobility and having a mediocre intellect. You get your dodge back, you throw your melees, no matter if it's precision or not. You're going to throw your melee, you're going to get the kill, and you're going to get a chunk of super energy. You can see the super bar moving up. And I switched from Blade Barrage to the bottom tree, which practice makes perfect, knock them down. The combination of all those together, my super comes within minutes, and I haven't even made it past the area that you've seen me previously play before. Now I waste the super here just so for the later clip I can still show you more of how the synergy between doing little tweaks to your build, doing little tweaks to your armor, understanding what's important and what's not. By me changing to the Ophidia Spath, my mobility went down to a 93. Still good, but not optimal 100. How could I play more into that? How could I get that back? Well, there are ways around not having the actual points on the board, but with getting what they call invisible numbers in the game. Now, if you want to hear a more detailed explanation on invisible numbers in Destiny 2, go ahead and leave a comment down below saying that you would like to know more about what invisible numbers are. But for a tiny example of that, if I was to put on the Stompies with having a 80 mobility, the Stompies will give me a plus 20. It won't reflect that on the screen, but that's what it does. It won't go over 100, so you can't go at 100 and then put on Stompies and be at 120. It doesn't work that way. But it will give you a plus 20 inherently as long as you have Stompies on. That's why you'll be running with Stompies on and you just feel fast as fuck, boy, you know? And that's the type of movements that Hunters strive for. Stompies will increase your sprint speed, right? Your sprint speed will be increased by, like, I don't know. It's a visual effect. When you put Stompies on, you'll feel it. Frosties, not so much. It won't be as fast as Stompies, but some people put on Stompies and just lose their mind. They go too fast. But the neutral game of the Stompies is why hunters use it, because of the inherent plus 20 to mobility while increasing everything else. Your movement speed is now on a whole nother level. You break the game. You go into the Matrix. You become Neo. You're one with everything. Now, putting on that neutral exotic, I've now tried to change up my armor just a little bit to now manipulate my super more. So I have sustained charge to get charged with light. I put on supercharge on my Stompy so I can hold more charge with light. I'll go into my class item here and equip the energy converter, and then I will use things charged with lights in order to burn those out to get my super back quicker. Now at the start of this, I'll go ahead and I burn the super just so you can see me use the energy converter, the Thresh auto rifle, the practice makes perfect. You see how much energy I got back from throwing that one grenade? It didn't even have to hit anything. I just used it, and boom. It's harder to get in PvP. That's why they haven't nerfed it yet, because you have to have a lot of charge with light to use that, and it doesn't work after 30%. If you have more than 30% of your super, it's not going to work. So don't count on it in PvP being broken. If it was to be broken, someone out there besides me would have broken it already, and Bungie would have nerfed it. So in casual activities, it gives you 30% for the most part. But after 30%, it doesn't give you anything back. So practice makes perfect. Now, compared to the other part of the video at the beginning, my super isn't coming back as fast as I would have liked it to versus what I'm trying to do now, because there's a lot more things in play. There's a lot more added to the build, right? If you watched my first video on what is a build, then the terminology that I'm using here today should not elude you. Now, if I was to keep my intellect at a 70, was that better than putting on these other charge with light mods for this quote-unquote build? Could have been, could have not been. But you won't know until you're able to test it out and practice with that in actual combat. If you don't know what you're building, how can you build it, right? You're not going to buy something from IKEA and right away go ahead and throw away the manual. If you are that guy, hats off to you. But without the manual and finding what part J and B and A and C connect to, I'm going to have a bunch of wood laying around and nothing's going to be done. I'm just going to be looking at an overall mess, hoping it all works out in the end. But manipulating your armor, understanding what's important to your specific character, your class, your hunter, your warlock, your titan. For this instance here, for this example on the screen, the hunter specializes in mobility for their dodge. Fair amount of resilience. You want a 50 or above, or a 30 if you're really good. A high recovery. We don't care about melee. We don't care about grenade, discipline, strength, none of that. Intellect, 6 or 7. That's a good number. 6 or 7, anything below that, you're going to feel the difference. And stasis takes longer to charge up. Just remember that stasis takes longer to charge up. Whether that's the super, all the cooldowns of everything, it takes a lot longer. There's a lot of penalties with having stasis equipped. But stasis is very powerful. I like stasis. But understanding that having a masterworked weapon will also enhance what you're trying to do. Figure out what perks will work best for you. If you want to specialize in gunplay, put more gunplay mods on your hunter. If you want to specialize in going into your super, stay at about that 60 to 70 range intellect. Focus more on getting your other abilities activated in a way to where that enhances your super gains. And builds on your neutral gameplay. Hunters have really strong neutral gameplay, and if you were to go into any character and see that, wow, that Titan has a really high recovery, but he has a really low resilience, then that's on him, because he doesn't understand how to build into his Titan. If he has some type of niche activity going on, well, kudos on him. But you want to use the things that you're good at. You want to capitalize on what makes your character pop off. And if you've ever been in a match and things aren't going your way and you've noticed people popping off, it's because they understand how to build their character perfectly. That fits them. If it fits your playstyle, kudos. But I'm trying to get you to understand that the gunslinger class mostly focuses on gunplay, reload speed, a little bit of melee. The blade barrage doubles down on both of the things that they passively do, the melee. It's more melee focused. So the hunter is really melee focused. Arc strider, dodging, melee, hit, recovery, HP, spinny stick, melee, everything. You have to look at the classes as they are. Arc strider, melee. Void, really melee heavy focused with a slight balance into grenades. But for the most part, the Void super, when it hopefully gets tweaked really good, for the most part, the Void super is bad unless you're gathering up a bunch of ads. But corrosive smoke, melee, the gas ability to turn yourself invis when you use it as a melee. Hunter is really melee focused. People think that the Titan is heavily melee focused and Hunter is like gameplay jumping around, guns a-blazing, Yosemite Sam style. But take a look at the abilities and read into it. I'm telling you, the Hunter is a really melee focused heavy character, and that's why they tend to struggle with newer players, even though they're easier to maneuver because of the jump. I have no false ideals that people don't pick the Hunter just because they have an easier jump. And then you get into the Warlock, they're more grenade heavy. You get into the Titan and they're more, you would think that they would be more melee heavy, but they're actually more, I don't know, well-rounded. They're well-rounded people, the Titans. And going into the Shatter, the Revenant Hunter subclass, the double shurikens, everything focused, everything looking at the Hunter for what it is, it's heavily melee focused. But we want to always tie that into our dodge. We want to double down on getting our dodge back. I hope this video helped you guys out in understanding what's important to a hunter and how to build into your character better. If you guys want to see more videos from me about breaking down how to build into your specific character, these videos will get progressively more in detailed depth with building into a character. Just go ahead and leave a comment down below, like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you guys for watching.